Hey guys, it's Iconic here, and in this video, I want to go over the current state of Necromancer in the server slam that's going on, and this is post nerfs and kind of my thoughts on how to combat them. Even though I will give this disclaimer, there is no way to combat it. Your skeletons are going to be squishier, they're going to die more. There's not too much you can do in that regard, but you can play around this, and this video is going to be on how I have played around it and suggestions on how it would be played around in the future should Blizzard not listen to feedback on the Necromancer. So first things first, what was the minion nerf? Well, the TLDR is they made minions a lot less survivable. They increased the max amount of health they can lose in a single instance of damage by I think about 20%. So before it was 25%, now it's 45%. So that is a lot of max health you get to lose from minions, especially when it comes to like AoE. And there's a guy popping up beside me. I'm not sure why. Let's just move. Anyways, other than that, because of this, we have a lot of minion sustain issues, and we have to work around this. And the proposed path I'm gonna give here is corpse generation. Now, why are we focusing on corpse generation? Because no matter how much you spec into your tree, your minions will die. No matter what skeletons you go, they are gonna die. But how do we get as many corpses as we can in as little time as possible so we can resummon them once they die? That is the question, and the answer lies in the skeletal warriors. With the skeletal warriors, if you go reapers, you will notice they have this, which is a 15% chance to carve the flesh of enemies, forming a corpse. This is really good corpse generation, especially when you have, because you can have 4 reapers. If you get a legendary, you can take this up to 5 skeletal warriors. We're going with base 4. This means, yes, they probably the attack slower and everything than the skirmishers. I personally would prefer the skirmishers, but in terms of corpse generation, this is king, and this will give you enough corpses even in boss fights where you do not even need to cast like decompose to get corpses. You are just good on your own. Other than this, we're also kind of trying to alleviate the need for decompose, because decompose has you standing still for 2.5 seconds. How do we alleviate this burden? We get some resource generation from our, I think I just clicked twice. Oh no, never mind. Yes, this one actually. We get resource generation from our mages. Code mage restore 2 essence on hits. There are 3 mages, so that's 6 if they all land. And this is just it's good to top up, but it's not going to keep your essence full, but it's good to have. Then we also spec a bit into minion life. I was able to find an offhand that had maximum minion life, and even you will notice I have a better offhand elsewhere, but the minion life I feel is too valuable. I actually have minions that haven't been dying in Ashava, and like they have died, but they don't die faster than I can get corpses to replace them. So I typically have good DPS uptime. And because we have so much corpse generation, we can actually become even tankier, thereby alleviating more issues with decompose, therefore allowing us to decompose longer, which then means we are always going to have our minions should we need minions. So that being said, let's hop into the skill tree. What are the nodes we take on the skill tree? Now, this is a rough outline of what I do. You don't have to do this. I will just point out some really nice nodes along the way where you could take, and it would make your life so much better. First things first, we take decompose, because the reason we go decompose, I prefer like bone splinters, but the reason I take decompose here is You could start off a boss fight and not have any skeletons, and then you have no way of generating corpses realistically. So we just take decompose, so we have that source, and we don't want to waste multiple slots of our bar on different things, and it's a wasted point to put something else. So we just go decompose. Then we have Seva. I choose Seva. You could go Blight. You really have free reign here. There's nothing important here. This is a very important note. This is a no-brainer. You take increased damage, you take life for your skeletal warriors. It's very good. It's alleviates a bit, but you would still have your skeletons die. You take the mage cluster, and now this is a good skill to have. Decrepify and blood mist. Blood mist is your O shape button for bosses, where if say during any of Ashava's one-shot mechanics, you are out of position, you could just hit this and survive. Other than in those moments, I have no use for blood mist realistically, but I do use it in boss fights. Um, the Crepify is really good. It makes enemies do less damage and it slows them. And if you take this one, it allows them to be gives them a chance to be stunned. 10% chance on hit, on lucky hit, and your all your minions can apply this. So this is actually a decent chance. So I chose to take it. But the reason the Crepify is so good is it reduces the damage they deal. So your skeletons will automatically have more survivability. You can choose to scale this up more, but I find I just only want to put a point in it because there are much better nodes out there, like Death's Embrace, which I think minions also inherit some of the less damage you take, but I don't think it's 100% effective. I think it's like 30%, so maybe they take 1% less damage for each point you have in this skill. Then, after this is where we really get spicy with our build with Fortify. When a corpse is formed from your skill or your minions, Fortify for 6%, 2% each level. We have 3 points, so 6%. This is so good because it gives us 100% Fortify very easily, just because of how many corpses we generate from our our melee skeletons essentially. On bosses, we have 100% Fortify, and I notice that when I have more Fortify, my skeletons last longer. So I have a theory that they actually inherit some Fortify properties. I am not entirely sure, and I could be very wrong on this, but I do believe they inherit this, and this has led to some survivability for my minions. But they are still squishy, and I'll be honest with you, they are gonna be squishy. There's not much you can do in that regard. They are gonna be squishy. You can just try to play around this as best as you can, like I did. Do what feels good for you. If you want to go blood based, that works. You can also just choose to not deal with the current state of minions and just sacrifice them. I love minions. I'm an avid minion player, so that is not an option for me. And other than that, only other thing I can think to mention is getting one of the legendaries that increases the total number of skeletons you would have. Be them melee skeleton warriors or skeletal warriors and skeletal mages. If you can get any of these two legendaries, which I have successfully failed at getting, as you would see, I have the blood mist corpse and damaging an elite enemy barrier. But these are the only two I have been able to get in terms of legendaries. But if you can get any of those extra max legendary pieces, it should also really help to alleviate some of these concerns, because an extra skeletal warrior means more corpses generated by your melee skeletons. An extra mage means more resource generation, so you don't have to stand still decomposing as much. I think that's about it. I was going to attach a video of an Ashava attempt. I say attempt because it was deathless, and I almost got to the end, but he just escaped with like less than 10% of his health. So that was quite unfortunate. But I was gonna attach it regardless, but I forgot to hit record apparently. So y'all can always check my Twitch channel to see how it has actually performed. But like I said, hopefully on launch, Blizzard actually listens to our concerns and buffs their survivability, even if it's not to the point they were in the open beta, but somewhere in between where they don't die every single time, like so you don't have to resummon them quite as much. But for the meantime, I hope you have fun with this idea. You try to. I hope you. I'm looking forward to hearing maybe creative ways y'all got around the problems with survivability. Also had the idea of using skeletal defenders with thorns, but thorns, as far as I know at the moment, don't reduce the damage they take. So they would inflict damage when they take it, but they will still die. So I didn't really play around with it too much. Anyways, with that, I hope thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.